This podcast provides a platform for our guests to share their experiences and inspire our listeners to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. As you listen, we invite you to explore how these concepts apply to your own story. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful. We're mic'd up with Mike DiCioccio. All right, we are here with Jerry West. Jerry, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
We've had this plan before the holidays, and we've both been really looking forward to getting together. It's been some time, but just a little insight. Jerry and I have been friends now for a few years. We do a lot of networking in the West Seneca and Orchard Park area in Western New York, really, on a big scale. And guess what? We also do this other thing called social media, and we're on there networking and marketing and meeting people.
Yep.
And we finally paused for a half a second, right, and took some time out to do this for you, whoever's listening. Thank you for tuning in or watching this on YouTube, right, or Facebook right now with the promo. So thank you for being here. What I'm going to do is actually bring our audience up to speed because I know what you've been up to, and if they haven't, we want to bring them up to speed. Cool?
Sounds good, man.
All right, so you can kind of kick back and enjoy your water for a second here. Maybe take a nap, but because, guys, this is, you got to listen to the whole story here. When I'm reading your bio, it's not about where you are today or where you started, it's the story, right? So, born and raised in Long Island, Jerry later moved to Buffalo in 1990 at age 17, where he attended Buff State College, and he earned his Bachelor of Arts in Communications, same as I did, same school. Jerry worked in radio most of his 20s as a promotions director and on-air DJ, and I could probably learn a thing or two from you today. But he got married in 2001 and then transitioned into marketing and sales, where he began his entrepreneurial journey in 2012 when he was introduced to network marketing. Little did he know what was in store for him at that time, right?
Yeah.
From 2013 to 15, he owned a direct mail franchise and major adversity struck. He filed bankruptcy in 2015, and he hit financial rock bottom in 2016. But the good news is, of course, we're doing this interview for a reason because Jerry never gave up, and he dusted himself off and became even stronger for that adversity. In 2017, he became affiliated with a company launching a new CBD brand, and he'll share more details about that in just a minute. Within only 1 year, Jerry became a top earner in that company, and he's enjoying life with his family living in East Aurora, beautiful East Aurora, New York, with his wife and two sons who are 11 and 17. And he's now approaching his second anniversary of being full-time in network marketing, achieving six figures back-to-back years. That's awesome. And we're almost to the end here. This is where it gets good. So he's earned the opportunity to speak on stage at 2 conventions and released a personal development book to help out his fellow network marketers. It's called 52 Lessons for Network Marketing. We're going to grab it to hold it up so you can see it. 52 Lessons for Network Marketing right here. And a shout out to our mutual friend, Jim Bitton, who actually designed the cover.
Yep. Thank you, Jim.
See right there. Thanks, Jim. Jerry's vision, so what I want to talk about here is your vision for 2020, very punny, right? Mm-hmm. 2020 vision, and beyond, is to be a 7-figure earner, right?
Yes.
And I really have no doubt that you're going to do that based on what you're doing here, the trajectory that you're on. So again, 52 lessons we can learn. Thank you for this copy as well. Signed copy. Doesn't get any better than that. So thank you again for being here.
My pleasure, buddy.
Did I miss anything? Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. That's pretty much my whole life story right there in a nutshell.
So, first question right out of the gates. Your story is inspiring, and being someone who I knew you during the last 5 years or so, right? I didn't know the extent of the turmoil you were going through or the depths that you were at during those times. If you were to speak directly to someone going through that, what would you tell them?
Well, one of the things that helped me a lot was just what you said. You didn't know the depth of what I was going through at that time because I always put an emphasis on projecting a positive attitude.
Right.
No matter what I was going through, whether it was a good time or a bad time, I believe that if you wake up with a positive attitude, you put a smile on your face, and you just continue to work toward your goals every single day, that eventually you're going to accomplish them as long as you never give up on yourself. So I never, I didn't...
You were sold on yourself every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I knew, going out there with, if something went wrong or I was in a bad situation, going out there with a victim mentality or a woe is me, or looking for sympathy from other people, showing up at a networking event and in a bad mood just to have like 3-4 people ask me, are you okay? What's going on? I didn't want to get involved in that,
Right.
So I always just projected positive, because positive energy goes where positive energy flows, and you're not going to attract it to yourself unless you're putting it out there to the universe.
Do you feel that helped you once things started to click? The fact that it's almost, I do a lot of sports analogies, both for myself and when I'm talking to people. It just seems for an easy way for me to make things connect. Yeah. But almost like an athlete, right? So you're preparing yourself for the best, but when you're living through the tough moments, coming after an injury or a tough loss, or we just had the playoff loss with the Bills, right? So those players, like, they're in a mentality of next year winning that championship already. But you're in your head, you're doing the things first, and then your body has to act it out, right? So would you say that those low times actually help make you who you are today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I believe that the tough times and the struggles in everybody's life can be what shapes their future if they apply what they learn during that lesson, because there's that, I'm sure you heard the quote, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Well,
yeah, you either win or you learn.
If you don't win, or even worse, I know you and I have both gotten smacked down on the ground. You get back up again, you brush yourself off, but the important thing is that you learned a lesson there. So the next time, like an athlete going back out on the field, if a play is not successful in a football game, they learn something about that defense. The next time they're going to apply what they learned about that defense and attack it in a different way.
I love it. Yeah, we're talking football here. I love it. No, it's so true. It's if you're a great reader and there's a great book like this one right here, and I read 52 lessons and I apply 0 lessons,
right?
It was a waste of time, unfortunately, right? So it's how can you apply it? So how has social media helped you build your personal brand? I've seen you crushing it with Facebook Live videos, and they're getting high engagement. I mean, multiple hundred likes per video. So what was the turning point there where it all clicked?
Well, I'll tell you, when I first got on social media back in 2012, all I wanted to do was spew out information about the products and services I was attempting to sell at the time. At the time, put company links out there. I was just basically walking, talking infomercial on somebody's phone. So what happens when you do that?
You mean that doesn't work?
No, it doesn't work. People actually tune you out. They unfollow you, or worse, block you and unfriend you.
Strange.
Or even send you a message and ask you to please stop posting about stuff. But and all that actually did happen. But what I've learned over time is that there's no, if you look at social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, those are the biggest networking groups in the world. Right. You can actually meet new people, connect with new people, prospects, clients, every single day from the comfort of your own home. You can allow people to get to know you. You can let them into your world. So what I learned is that my social media profile, in a sense, to other people that are out there, is me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you never met me before and somebody mentioned my name, in today's day and age, what is one of the first things people do?
Check your social media
accounts.
They
look you up.
Google
they want to see who you are.
If it's a business, looking to hire you, they're probably Googling your name. And if it's someone to know if they want to just get to know you, they're going to check your social, right?
Absolutely. And that's the same thing in business. So a lot of the time, or maybe even a majority of the time now in the year 2020, your first impression on other people is what they can find when they look you up.
Right.
So just, I started working on that probably, 6 really hard, like probably 6 years ago, day in and day out, just improving my content, improving my appearance on my social media profiles, putting value out there. And it's just, it's the biggest outlet to get business. I was just talking to you before this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm shocked when people put a profile up on LinkedIn and they just ignore it.
Yeah.
Or you mean
like so they're on there, but they're either not active or we both had this experience. We talked a little bit candidly about it off camera, but posting something where we're not doing that, spewing, or I call it vomiting information, and that can be a problem in sales too, where you're like over talking a product to somebody. But using LinkedIn Messenger as a way of just, here's my link, here's the product, here's how it's going to work, and you didn't even ask the person like, hey, how you doing, or maybe we can work together, right?
Right.
So you and I have taken that other approach where we literally just want to see if we can have a 5-minute conversation to learn more about them, and then they obviously want to know more about us, hopefully at the end.
Exactly.
And when someone doesn't respond to that, it's odd to me because it's an opportunity where they could shine their business. I can get to know if it's someone in real estate. Maybe there's a deal I want to do 2 years from now, and I would be thinking of them. But if they don't even respond or they're nasty or something for no reason.
Yeah, then they lost their opportunity down the line.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think long term when it comes
It's
to
all about
social media.
relationship building, right? I actually have that. I'm going to jump ahead to a question here. It leads me right into it. How important are relationships in business? What advice would you give to a startup entrepreneur about professional relationships?
Well, what I've noticed is that many people will they'll burn a bridge if somebody doesn't do business with you right away, and that's a huge mistake because timing is everything in this world. So with everyone that you approach and everyone that you meet, you should be more focused on building your network and building those relationships because, let's face it, the vast majority of people are not going to buy into your product or service the first time they meet you, right?
Right.
Some of them, maybe it'll take a month, some of them maybe 6 months, some of them a year, some of them 5 years.
Right.
So what you have to keep in mind is that, how would you treat somebody you first met?
Right.
Would you give them your business right away? If you just met them today? Probably not.
Right. It takes time to build trust and
Exactly.
even an understanding of what they're doing. Like a lot of times people know their product so well that they know in 30 seconds they could talk to their people in their organization about it and it makes sense. But, and it should never be overly complicated, don't get me wrong. But a lot of times we expect someone to have that same level of excitement right out of the gate, and they didn't even learn about it yet.
Right.
And it's like, you've been doing it for 2 years, so of course your excitement level and understanding is going to be crystal clear.
I'll give you an example. So I was at a networking group yesterday for the East Aurora Chamber, and when it was my turn to speak, I spent the entire minute telling a story about myself. I didn't say anything about the products that I sell because I do here and there, but here's the thing. I could sit there and I could talk to a room full of people about the quality of CBD oil and third-party lab testing and QR codes on labels, and half the crowd is going to be falling asleep, checking their phones, wondering what they're going to say when it's their turn.
Sure.
But if I start telling them a story about who I am and what I'm all about, all of a sudden people listen. And the reason for that is people care more about who you are than they do about the products and services that you sell.
Right. It's a bonus if what you have to offer is something they need and want. Then, of course, it's a slam dunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once they're in the market for the products and services that
the
you
timing.
sell, who are they going to do business with?
Right.
Somebody they know, somebody they like, somebody they trust.
Right.
So that's why these relationships are so important. And that's why the image you're projecting on social media and the value you're putting out there is so important. Because when that timing becomes right for somebody, you want to be that person that's top of mind to them.
Yeah. And you reminded me of something too. Is it's like planting seeds. I know that's like became a cliche thing, like Johnny Appleseed planting the seeds, but it's really true. Where some are going to grow in 3 weeks, some are going to grow in 5 years, some might not grow until after 5 years. Some might be 5 days, but you don't necessarily know when they're going to be ready. But if you're planting the seeds and doing the right thing, and people start to get to like you, right? So that's watering the garden, if you will. The relationship's being built. Then all of a sudden they're going to start to pop up. And when someone's ready, how good does it feel that now all of a sudden your social media messenger's being hit, or your LinkedIn, or they know you on a personal level. So it's a text message, and they're saying, hey, Jerry, I'm interested in CBD. I saw something cool on TV. Can you tell me about it? And how can you help me out?
Right.
Right. So I thought of the quote, too, your network is your net worth, too, which is really a cool way of kind of
Absolutely.
putting a bow on that statement, right? So one thing leading into that, so you're in the MLM business. I also do business with Legal Shield. I'm a sales associate. Very, very, I don't even want to call it part-time necessarily, because it's very, like, I have the offering there if it comes up in conversation, but I'm not really prospecting it. But I understand the benefits of or this what's called the structure of MLM, right? But I know there's a lot of negative perception around it. We talked about some of it already. What I want to do here is kind of break the myth of MLM. So let's talk about that. I have a few thoughts myself, but I want to hear it from yourself. So can you just, for anyone who's unclear, and maybe and I'm just asking anyone who's listening right now, have an open mind with this, but the myth behind MLM being some kind of crazy, wacky thing, and how is it the same or very similar to standard business models?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about, a lot of people will use the term a pyramid, right?
Pyramid, yeah. There it is. Let's just call it what it is, baby.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously a legitimate business model because it's regulated by the FCC and
Right.
several regulatory agencies,
Sure.
governmental agencies. So if it was something illegal or it was a scam, we would not be allowed to do business. And within the network marketing industry itself, there's a lot of guidelines and procedures that need to be followed in order for you not to get in trouble as a company. So,
Sure.
for example, if a company goes out there and says, okay, everybody that comes in has to buy this $2,000 pack of product that you're never going to use, then it starts to become investigated and potentially shut down as an illegal pyramid. Because
I think many of them do, right? I mean, there's companies out there that's happened to, for sure.
Exactly. I mean, in the real definition of pyramid scheme is people are putting in money and making money off more people that are putting in money. So there's no real product. You're just recruiting people to put their money in. So that's what an original pyramid scheme
Kind of a
is.
compounding factor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And an illegal pyramid scheme will always eventually break apart because once the number of people coming in starts to dry up and there's no more money coming into the system, then it all kind of collapses.
Yeah.
So that's an illegal pyramid scheme. And, throughout history, there have been, quote unquote companies, but they're not really companies, but there have been people out there who have attempted to set up pyramid schemes around supposed products that are, it's not really a real product that people want, but it's there just to try to circumvent that.
Sure, to get that
law
system
or
in
that
place,
rule.
yeah.
Now, I'm not like a law, I'm not like 100% well-spoken on the
Legal,
laws.
sure.
I'm not an attorney or a legal professional.
I don't
so
want to ask
I don't
you
want
too
anyone
leading.
out there to take me as saying that.
Right.
But,
But you explained it in a couple of minutes there in a great way of, so that's like what basically a pyramid scheme is that is illegal. But now multi-level marketing, although it has a similar compounding factor, I don't want to ask too leading of a question just to get you to say what I already know. But what this is all about the audience. I want them to benefit from you showing how your business model with My Daily Choice is really no different than, say, I'm going to use a big organization like Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks is a huge company, right? So they have a CEO. Originally, it was a founder, now a CEO. They have regional managers. They have stores. I'm not sure if they're franchised or not, but I guess that doesn't really matter to my point. And then they have employees, right, and different levels of employees.
Right.
Who's making the most money? Of course, typically it's going to be someone at an organization like that at the top.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So right there is kind of showing you a structure of a standard business. And tell us a little bit more about multi-level marketing.
So multi-level marketing is basically it's a network, okay? It's a network of distributors, and the business grows through acquiring customers and distributors to acquire more customers and distributors. So the important thing to look for is that there's a customer-centric focus. For example, the company that I'm affiliated with, My Daily Choice, 80% of everyone that signs up an account in our company is just a preferred customer, product user. So they're ordering the products, they're consuming the products, they're using the products for their own benefit, and they're not involved in the business opportunity. So that leaves, only 20% or less of all the people in the company actually enrolled to be an actual business builder, distributor, affiliate, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
There's really not much of a difference, because what I found, like when I owned my mailing franchise, for example, right? I had to make an enormous investment into a franchise fee. All in, I was about $75,000 on a lot of borrowed money, because I didn't have the money to start that business. A lot of borrowed money to get that business started, and then you're talking about in expenses $15,000 to $20,000 a month to send out a mailing every month. So I still, with that traditional business where you have a franchisor,
right,
and then you have all these franchisees that are making money for the franchisor, and then you have all these customers underneath the franchisees that are in there to make money for their businesses. I'm making money off of them, and the franchisor is making money off of everybody. Customer can never be the franchisor. The franchise can never be the franchisor.
right.
But that business, I still had to go out, and I literally had to go out and walk in and out of 30 doors every single day, prospecting people, trying to get new customers, trying to get people to buy into my product.
For the mailing company?
Yeah, for the mailing company. And when I think about it, the work that I do now, like I don't actually physically, I can go out and walk in and out of business stores, but I do pretty much all my prospecting online on my smartphone, on social media. But the work that you do with a network marketing business model is not much different than the work you do with your business model or with a franchise business model, because guess what? I still have to go out there and I still have to acquire people to put money into my product or service, either way. So I guess we're going to get into why would there be a stigma about network marketing then, right?
Yeah, and I the reason I personally feel that there is some negativity around it is the startup cost for most of the companies is low. Yep. Right? I mean, it's like $100 to get into a business.
So anybody can really do it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much, the barrier is very low, right? Which is a good thing, because that means there's opportunity. But the negative thing, this is my personal opinion, I'm not asking anybody to agree with me or tell me I'm right, but I feel like when you have everyone running around saying they're a business owner, even if they don't really physically own the business necessarily, but they're kind of abusing that tag, and then they're doing the thing we were talking about earlier, going on LinkedIn and maybe or Facebook or wherever, and they're spewing, right? And they're just like, I got this great thing, and I want to sell it to you, Jerry. I can get you 3 of them. I'll get you buy 3. I'll give you 2 for free. And I need to talk to your Aunt Carol at the 4th of July party because she said she was. All of a sudden, people are like, dude, I don't even want to talk to this guy because they're not handling it with class, with a professional model.
You have amateurs out there that that are not being professional about the business.
Sure.
They're throwing spam all over the place, and other people see that and they think, ugh, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that. Well, I don't do that, and I teach people how to do it the right way. Yeah. But you still have that out there. You still have, your cousin Joey who's bugging the crap out of you to join his deal, and it's annoying. Yeah. So as long as you have that out there, you're going to have that stigma. All I ask is that people take the time to educate themselves about something and form their own opinions.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, have a filter. So if you see it, if it smells like, what was the example you used? Let's call it Timmy, right? Timmy who's on there just spewing.
Yeah.
Then don't let that call it bad seed, right? Necessarily ruin it for everyone else. Where your products are great, you're doing well. We've heard your story in the top of the show here, where you were at a really rough spot, and only a short 2 years later, you're where you're at now. And I know that you're not even at your ceiling yet because you're still doing personal development every day. You're doing personal development.
Yes, sir.
And what's really cool about someone like yourself is you're willing to do a show like this and help more people. You're not, what's in it for me is me, my wife and my 2 boys, right? It's the world that you're in that you can help out. And that is the number one reason I wanted you on the show. So I do want to talk a little bit about your products and then kind of get into more kind of mindset stuff here. So
sure.
How do your customers benefit from CBD?
Well, the funny thing is that we're not even allowed to talk about what it does because the FDA is involved and
the benefits.
So you can't even make any medical claims. So quite honestly,
without making any medical claims, and I understand that that's
it
a
makes
fine
it more
line,
difficult for sure.
But can you talk about just
in fact, there's a group of companies
out there now. What can you tell us about CBD, I guess,
that either got fined or shut down by the FDA because they were out there making medical claims.
Right.
So they're watching CBD companies like a hawk. Mm-hmm. So I can't even come on here. I mean, I know this seems crazy, but people can learn about what CBD does. If you have a condition, you can Google CBD and whatever that condition is, and research it. And there's stuff you can find online. But me being an affiliate, if I come on here and start making medical claims, that's actually against compliance of our company. But really, we're just protecting our business by doing that.
Can you just talk more about CBD as a whole then, and kind of what it is?
Yeah. So CBD, here's the what's like the main confusion about CBD. So for me, when I first got started, and I got involved in this company in March of 2017. Okay. Mm-hmm. Since then, when we first launched our brand, there wasn't CBD all over the place.
Yeah.
But over the last 2.5 years plus, it's gone absolutely bonkers. I mean, freaking Family Video is selling CBD. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, hair salons are selling CBD. Everybody's selling CBD.
McDonald's.
Where the heck did I see it?
Would you like
I
CBD
saw
with your fries?
Abercrombie and Fitch. I saw CBD products the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So, I mean, it's becoming a commodity, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And, Forbes projects this industry to continue to grow to like a $20+ billion industry by 2024, which, so there's a lot of growth left in the industry.
You said B?
But billion? With that, billion. $24 billion, I believe, is what the article in Forbes says by 2024.
It's all over the place, man.
And the crazy thing is there's very little regulation. So that's what I would tell people about CBD is that you have to do your due diligence before you buy oil. It does not come from the marijuana plant. It comes from the hemp plant. That's another. Yeah. That's really a main problem I had with getting involved with in the first place. Like, do I want to be associated with a leaf? Because I was raised that doing drugs was a bad thing. And I know now, marijuana is just a plant, whatever.
Sure.
But, I'm a dad that lives in East Aurora, and I have 2 kids that I want to be driving around my truck with, like, a pot leaf on the back window. Yeah. But once I did my research and I realized, okay, this comes from the hemp plant. You can look up the history of hemp in the United States. There's actually a very rich history of the hemp plant and all the different things it can be used for. And hemp is not going to get anybody high. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but
full disclaimer,
is rich in cannabinoids, which are what benefit your body health wise. Mm-hmm. But it it only contains a trace amount of THC, not even enough to really be detectable.
Sure.
So it's once people realize that, okay, this is the hemp plant, it's different, it's not marijuana. That's kind of step one to get people over that hump. But then you have all these brands out there that are selling bottles of snake oil or whatever because there's no regulation going on. So I've seen news stations test like 4, 5, 6 different brands, find bottles of CBD or hemp oil that have absolutely no CBD in it whatsoever, or maybe they have mold in it or pesticides. I saw one story where this one brand was found to have mercury in it. So they could have dangerous metals, like if they have pesticide or it's not grown organically. So people really need to be careful about what you're buying. Look at the label. I've seen labels out there that have like 12 to 15 different ingredients in there. Ours is 100% from the hemp plant.
Right.
But if you see something that has 12 to 15 different ingredients in there, that has like filler ingredients, they're just trying to make the cheapest product they could possibly make to make a quick buck off of this CBD craze, so to speak, Yeah. So that's the most important thing I would tell people. Do your due diligence, look at the label, see what's in your product. Does the company you're buying CBD from even have a website? Do they have third-party lab testing on there? Like our bottles have a QR code on there that is scannable. So I could take out my smartphone and scan a bottle and bring up lab tests, and I could see exactly what's in my product. I can see the amount of CBD that's in there. I can see that there's no filler ingredients, no metals, no molds, no pesticides. But, some consumers just look at price and they'll go buy CBD from a gas station. And personally, I think that's pretty risky because if you don't know what you're putting in your body or your loved one's body, you could get sick. If you're consistently putting something in your body that has a dangerous ingredient in there, maybe you won't even feel it right away.
Doesn't make sense. There's so many options. Why pick a low-level option if you could take...
Well, exactly.
Now, what is research really taking now? 30 seconds on your smartphone.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, so take 30 seconds, do your research, make sure they have the third-party disclaimer on the bottom, right? Medical disclaimers and everything. And how can we... I'm jumping ahead again a little bit here, but... So My Daily Choice, how can someone connect with you and learn more about your products and actually get your products?
Well, they can, if they want to look at the opportunity, they can go to joinjerrywest.com. That's Jerry with a J. Joinjerrywest.com. And
the hemp daddy, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'll give you a different website. Getpaidweeklyonline.com.
Okay.
Getpaidweeklyonline.com. Getpaidweeklyonline.com.
Cool.
We have a free virtual video tour that anyone can take on that website. If they want to look at the products, just go to jerrywest.biz, jerrywest.biz.
Okay, very cool. So we're going to kind of take the car back on the road. Earlier we were talking about mindset and influence. So who has had the greatest impact or positive influence on you? Could be family, could be a celebrity, it could be someone who read their book. Who would that be?
Well, there's been a lot. I mean, my wife obviously has had some influence on me, especially with moving forward with this business, because she's the one that told me you need to get over the fact that this is a hemp plant and just do this business.
Cool. So she was supportive of that.
So there was that, and she's always been there to support me. Granted, a lot of times it's tough love, but she loves me.
Right.
And I know that it comes from the right place. But let's say industry-wise, I mean, there's just so many people I've come across. One of the books that I initially read way back in 2012 that kind of changed the way I thought about things was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That book really woke me up to some things. Of course, I know a lot of people
spell it for the audience and myself.
T. Harv Eker.
How do you spell Eker?
T is spelled T. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's Ecker.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good book, especially for someone that you're entering entrepreneurship for the first time. You're brainwashed. Let's face it. Like, how many people out there that you either weren't an entrepreneur at one point in your life and then you became one? Your brain is pre-programmed to think a certain way. So you have to change that programming in your brain. And this book really kind of helped me wake me up to some things about the way that I thought about money and the way that I thought about other people and the way that I thought about business. So that was definitely a good book. I know a lot of people have read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've read that book a couple times. I've listened to it on Audible probably like 4 or 5 times. It's a fantastic book. What is that Napoleon Hill book?
Think and Grow Rich. I'm reading that right now.
I can't remember the name of that. Yeah. I have that on my Audible too. That book actually had a lot of influence on me. And then, personal people that I have followed, I would say that, I love Jim Rohn's stuff. Tony Robbins is great. Eric Worre's great. Todd Falcone, I don't know if, I think I mentioned Todd to you. I've had personal coaching from him. He's been involved in my industry for over 30 years, and he's helped me tremendously.
So here's what I'm going to do.
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, that's another good one.
Darren, okay.
Because a lot of us, the audience listening out there, how many of you have gotten frustrated because you're consistently working day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, and you don't seem to be gaining much traction in your business? To me, The Compound Effect is was a really powerful book. in that regard, because it makes you realize that even though you may not be seeing immediate results, that the long-term results from all the work that you're doing now, i.e. the compound effect, is eventually going to kick in at some point if you stay consistent and you keep at it.
Right. So after reading all those books or listening to them on Audible and seeking out some of the messages that you have over time, right, that helped you with your personal development and your mindset, if you can give one message to our audience, kind of put that all together, leaving them inspired to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams, which is the mission of my show, what would that be?
I think the number one thing would be you don't have to know everything to get started toward whatever your goal or your dream is. And a lot of people, they'll freeze up thinking that, they're waiting for the right time. The timing is just not right now. And a lot of it's fear. It's lack of self-confidence. I don't believe in myself. I don't know if I can do it, or I don't know how to do it. Well, guess what? You don't need to know everything to get from where you are to where you want to be. All you need to do is start taking action every day and changing your daily habits every single day, because you'll learn as you go. There's a phrase that I use in my industry, and I'm sure other industries use it as well. Earn while you learn, right? So if I sit back and I'm just, I'm training, I'm doing personal development, I'm learning how to do stuff, but I'm never actually out there doing it, I'm not going to fully ever grasp or understand what it is I need to do unless I'm willing to put myself out there, put my neck on the line, be willing to make mistakes, be willing to look like a fool,
Sure.
be willing to screw up and get knocked down and get up again and brush yourself off and go at it again the next day. That's really how you learn, and what brings you toward success is the actual doing, the making the mistakes and screwing up, and going out there and doing it again.
So instead of learning everything, kind of like the college mentality, if you learn for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years for some people, and then go and apply it, it's the internship idea is to have people start to get their feet wet and their hands-on experience of what they're learning. Now they're applying it. So in business, it's the same mentality where as you're learning, you're also applying. So here's my football reference in that, is you really learn how to play quarterback when you're out on the darn field learning from your mistakes, and then everything you did in the film room, which is your literal game tape in that. But what's our game tape? It's the meetings we have. It's the prospecting you were talking about, putting a rock in your calendar every day for some prospecting time, or at least multiple times a week for offense, another football term, right? So it's not one or the other. The opposite of that is what? Going full force with no game plan, no education, right? No understanding, and then you can get yourself in some trouble, right?
Exactly.
So I appreciate that. Is there anything else you'd like? I know you got to run out of here in a couple minutes. So anything you would like to add to this episode and for the benefit of our audience?
Just go out there and take action toward your dreams every single day, because there's one life that we have in which to do everything it is we're going to do. And every minute spent not trying to accomplish something for yourself, or settling for less than you want or deserve, is a wasted minute. Think about it. Like at the end of life, we only regret the things that we didn't do or we didn't try. The last thing you want to do is be sitting there on your deathbed and wondering, what if, or I wish I tried to do this. I wish I was more bold. I wish I tried to do that. Stop fearing what's going to happen or what other people are going to think. Just move forward and block out the noise, because this is your chance right here. There ain't going to be no other life. There's not going to be another opportunity to take advantage of. So you have to go out there and attack life every single day, like your life depended on it. Really. Yeah. And that's why I feel good about my life right now.
Nobody knows their end date, right?
Yeah.
So I think what ends up happening It's just my experience of observing people. When I see someone who's not really driven, it confuses me, because it's like maybe they just think they just think they'll be able to do it later, or I don't know. I can't really figure it out, but we really don't know. So attack every day almost like it's your last.
I'll tell you what saddens me is when I see somebody that has given up on themselves too soon. They've either settled and said, I'm never going to be anything, or this is the best it's ever going to get. Or worse even yet, they, let's say they attempted an entrepreneurial venture like you and I did. They took that initial step and they got knocked down, and then they backed up and said, I quit. Like that,
Right.
that saddens me, because I tell you, man, when my mailing business was failing, when I went into bankruptcy, I was $250,000 in the hole. It was not a good situation. The last thought on my mind was that I'm never going to do another business again. Like I never once thought that. I always believed that I'm going to get through this, and then I'm gonna go at it again. I'm gonna use what I applied from this lesson,
Just like you said,
to go out there and do it better the next time.
Practicing what you're preaching right now. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So don't give up on yourself. No
Right.
matter how bad things get, no matter how tough things get, just realize that those are the times that are going to shape who you are in the future. So instead of backing down to them, run at them as hard as you can possibly run at them.
Yeah.
And just
That's what builds character. That's what builds, we talked about adversity a few times. The greatest of the great, male, female, top of the spectrum entrepreneurs, they've been through the toughest times because they've done it. We see the shiny version of them because they're doing well now, but do you really understand what they've done to get there, right? And this is the last thing I'm going to say here before we do wrap up is you just reminded me of something I'm reading in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Is many of the people that he studied, and there were like 500 entrepreneurs at the time. And this book, if you're not familiar with it, it's about 100 years old now, right?
Yeah.
And so the greats are in there, though. They talk about Carnegie and Rockefeller and Edison is like the first couple chapters. There's a great story about Edison. And what's said in it is that right before, and there's a cool analogy, but right before most people, or as most people are about to give up, because they're just getting hit. I mean, it's let's just call it what it is. Like you're broken at a certain point of going and going and going,
Yep.
and it doesn't work. Your will is eventually just about broken. And this book talks about how when you're at that point, if you keep going, that one more rep in the gym, that one more phone call at home,
man.
that one more email, that one more LinkedIn message, one more podcast episode you need to listen to or watch or do. One more. Right behind it, there's typically the, Think and Grow Rich, but there's the pot of gold. So they're talking about gold. You remember the story in the book about the gold mine?
Oh, yep.
I don't remember his name. Was it Barnes? There's a guy, this family they were digging gold. I think it was the California gold rush, right?
Yeah.
And they were just on this huge property, and they covered the whole thing, and they didn't find what they were looking for, right? They dug it all out, and they ended up selling it or something. And the person who comes in bought like used gear and didn't have all the supplies, if I remember correctly, and basically went to that same plot of land. I was told there's nothing there, and they dug like the first day and found gold.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, couple feet, 3 feet from gold is the saying. That, how does that apply to your life, right?
Well, it definitely applies. I'm smiling as you're bringing this up because that's actually part of my story. The beginning, I told you going through bankruptcy in 2015 and 5 jobs in 2016 while I was fighting to get my business at the time that was falling apart back together, and I was at financial rock bottom. At the beginning of 2017, I was ready to give up on network marketing or entrepreneurship altogether. I needed to go out and get a 9-to-5 to pay the bills.
Sure.
That's what I needed to do. So I did that. But then in February of 2017, I thought to myself, you didn't come this far just to quit. Like, you didn't go through everything that you went through just so that you could stop. So that was a defining moment for me, because it was right after that I decided to go at it one more time. I started my current business, and that this current business has been my biggest breakthrough to date. So it just goes to show that it's not just, a lot of people that quit on themselves will hear stories like that, and or they'll read that in a book and they'll think, people say that all the time. It's just BS. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not BS, because I actually lived through that moment of being 3 feet away from the gold and was ready to throw down my pickaxe. Yeah. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to throw down this pickaxe. I'm going to take one more swing. Boom!
There it is. Yeah. And you're realizing, look, 6 figures 2 years in a row is that's a great success right there for you and your family. And cheers to doing that. And guess what? That's 2 years in, man. And it's 10 years plus of grinding through different opportunities and doing the call center thing where you just felt your soul was sucked and you were beat down. But it allowed you to take the steps forward and reflect and understand. And we can talk. I could go on another 12 hours about it. But for the sake of time here in our audience, thank you guys for tuning in. Jerry West right here, not to be confused with, I had to get this in there. I know, I'm going to end with it, but there's a cool tie-in. Did you know? So Jerry West was obviously a famous Laker, right? Basketball player.
Yep.
Now he's an executive on the Clippers. But what's cool about that, so if anyone gives you a hard time or whatever brings it up, the reference to the Los Angeles Clippers, right?
Yeah.
The Buffalo Braves.
Oh.
That's who the Buffalo Braves are today.
Right, that's right. The same franchise, right?
So there's a Jerry West that's the executive for what would be today the Buffalo Braves. So, it's actually now a cool tie-in. I saw your eyes about to roll when I said it, but
that's why I could never get a .com with my name.
So this Jerry West right here, my daily choice. One more time with the website.
So to look at our opportunity with the CBD company, getpaidweeklyonline.com.
Cool.
And check out, there's a virtual video tour that you could take for free on that website. But if you want to check out our products, you can go to jerrywest.biz. That's JERRYWEST.biz.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Hey guys, as always, a huge thank you for tuning in. Here are a few of my favorite takeaways from my conversation with Jerry. Even while he was struggling early on, he was still sold on himself every day. His positive attitude allowed him to have a stronger confidence while networking and meeting prospects. He knew that a victim mentality would not serve him or his network. He mentions applying the lessons in his book and the other mindset books that we talked about. The key word is applying. Take action daily. It will compound over time as you chip away at your massive goals. Jerry built his personal brand through social media and is utilizing it as a sales and relationship tool every day. His way to connect with prospects, whether it be in a meeting or a networking opportunity, is through storytelling, allowing him to showcase himself first, knowing his customers need to be sold on him well before they can be sold on his products. Those are my key takeaways from this week's episode. Thank you all who have been tuning in. I'm grateful for you checking out my podcast. Shout out to everyone who's also been sending me feedback. I appreciate the reviews and the messages that have been coming in on social as well. Thank you for making this journey as much fun as it's been so far. I appreciate you helping spread the love. You can check out more show notes and information at mikeduppodcast.com, MIKED uppodcast.com, powered by Social Chameleon. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful.